Hey everybody, welcome to Screen Peeking. Episode 19, I think at this point.
You better be right.
We better be right. I'm Ziggy, this is Nick. You know us. Today we are going to be talking about our predictions for 2021. So just so you
Metacritic
guys know,
predictions.
Metacritic, yeah. And some other predictions too, just sort of general. But just so you guys know, we are recording this on the same day that we recorded last episode. So, in case you're wondering why our hair looks identical and we're in the same outfits, I swear I change
I
every
never
day and I
change.
shower. But yeah, we're the same outfit every day.
I shower
But
with my
yeah.
clothes on.
Anyways, so yeah. Anyways, get into it. We've been playing the same games that we were last week. Don't have much to say in that regard. Um, so let's jump right into it.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of games listed down. Some of these are like they're probably coming out in 2021. Some of these are more immediate. We definitely left out some games on here, some intentional. It's also likely we forgot some. So if there's one you're like, hey, fuck you, you hate this game, we just forgot. It's fine. Let us know in the comments. Um, but yeah, let's jump into it. So the first game I have on here. Oh, sorry. Actually, one more thing. My head is super scattered. Um,
That's okay, me
it's
too.
sort of in chronological order of when it releases, but also not because we don't know exactly when stuff is releasing. But it's sort of correct. So Hitman 3 is the first game I have on here,
Okay.
and I haven't done any research on this,
Do
so
we want
I'm
to
gonna
though?
look
Because I
up.
think it might be worth. Because I didn't either. Right? Like we can just
Okay.
go by feel. Let's go by feel. And yeah, like again, like you were saying, this is just our list of games that we want to put a stake in the ground and be like, hey, this is what I think it'll be. And that's why we don't
Mhm.
have everything on here, because this isn't supposed to be a complete list. This is just
Yeah,
what
yeah.
we want to have an opinion on or prediction on.
So
Um,
yeah, so for Hitman 3, if I had to guess, I would say it's gonna score similarly to Hitman 2, but like better. Like I'd imagine it's going to be like a Hitman game, but with new systems and better, and you can play field levels, but they're
mhm.
enhanced for PS5 and whatnot. So I'm gonna guess like the other ones were
So
like low mid 80s, which is kind of criminal in my opinion because they should be higher. But I'm gonna guess like high 80s on this one, like 88 is what I'm saying.
wow, no. I
No.
think I think they are going to make a game very similar to Hitman 2, and
Hmm.
that will lower the score for some people. I
Interesting.
think a lot of people who, there'll be people who are like, this is a 9, this is a 9.5 or whatever,
Hmm.
maybe even a 10. But I don't think I think a lot of people will be like, this is just more Hitman or whatever. And I think that
Hmm.
they're really going to put a lot of innovation into their 007 game. That's what I think. Um,
That'd be a good point. Yeah.
so like
So
they
excited
really
for
have
that.
to pull up the pants and make that game good. I mean, it's a big IP.
Hmm.
It's a big game that they're making. So, anyways, I think it'll be, I'm gonna say 81.
81. All right. Pretty close. So the next game is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Um, I don't know
I don't know
much about this.
what.
Yeah, this one's kind of a throwaway because correct me if I'm wrong. The Ratchet and Clank reboot like game that came out on the PS4. Did people like that or did they not like it? Because I genuinely can't remember.
I believe people liked it. I
Okay.
believe it was a very positive like reception.
Okay. Then I imagine this will be better than that, given that it's well, I don't know. I would assume it was. I think it being sort of a big showcase game for next gen could boost its score. I think like when critics see something that's like, oh, this is exciting and new, it just makes you more positive about it.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna go with an 85. Cause yeah, I don't think it's gonna like absolutely blow people's socks off, but I think
Yeah,
it'll be quite good.
I think I put an 84 on there already. Yeah, I think right around there. I think we're gonna be right with it being mid 80s. That seems solid. I'm pretty sure Miles Morales got mid 80s. if I remember right. And I know that's a different game, but I'm just thinking like that
I
kind
could
of
see it scoring similarly to that.
I
Yeah.
could see it being like yeah received the same kind of way where it's like, oh, this is a great game, and people who like it, and people who don't care about it are just not going to care about it. And I think
Mhm.
mid 80s is still a really good score.
Totally. Yeah. Um. So the next one is the medium, and this one I'm really
I
not
hope
sure
it's
about
100.
because I hope it's great. Yeah. I just like Bloober Team. Bloober Team is a tricky developer because I feel like I like their games pretty consistently. I think they're like good on a like high 6, low 7 type of thing. Like it's an enjoyable enough horror game for what it is. Um, but this one seems really different from their usual thing to the point where like they got the Silent Hill composer to work with them and stuff like that. Like it seems like it's more of a high profile project. Um, and like I said before, like it being a showcase title for next gen with the like dimension switching stuff
Hmm.
seems really interesting.
Hmm.
But I feel like if it's just another very traditional Bloober Team Outlast style horror game where you're walking and running away from monsters and getting scared every so often, I don't see that necessarily blowing critics away. I don't see that blowing me away, to be honest. I'm kind of bored of that style of gameplay. Um,
Yeah, I think
I
it's
don't
going to be
know.
very. I think it's going to be either really hot or really cold. I think it's going to be, dude. It's going to blow the socks off people, and it'll be like, holy cow, this is an amazing horror game. Like this is like really incredible. Or it'll just be a letdown to people. They'll be like, oh, I thought it was going to be better, but it's not. So it's going to be high 70s or something like that. That's what I think it'll be. Or that's what I think it'll be is one of those two, right? I don't. I think it'll either be mid 90s or low 90s, or it'll be high 70s. But I have to choose. So I'm going to be positive, and I am going to say 91.
91.
I'm
I
going to put it
am
way up
definitely going
there.
to go lower than that. I am going to say, I'm going to go in the high 70s route. I'm going to say 79. I
Good
think
choice.
I think some people will really really love this game and a lot of people will be like, "Yeah, it's good." I like but Blue Team games always have a strong following
It
in like
really
a certain
depends on how they
audience.
handle.
Like Layers of Fear, I
Mm.
loved. When granted that was years ago and my taste wasn't as like refined as it is now. But and what was the other one? Observer. Like that one, I wasn't too hot on, but I know some people adored it. I think IGN gave the Blair Witch one like a 9 or something, and I played it. I was like, this is okay. So I don't know, but yeah, 79 feels right to me. High 70s.
I I
Um,
think you're right, but I want to stick with mine.
I
I
will be so happy if this blows me away. I will be so happy.
I think they just need to have the right encounters, the right kind of characters or enemies that really like, like Pyramid Head, things that like really stand out as like, oh, do you remember, that kind of stuff. They really need to
Hmm.
nail that, and then it'll be a classic.
I think what they need to do for me at least is they need to make it more fun. I guess like I think they really need to change something up with the gameplay formula. And even if that means like granted I did not play this game. This is purely off of what I've heard, but the new Amnesia, the one that came out this year,
Hmm.
is still a like mostly walking focused horror game, but it does some really interesting things with like the main mechanic is that you have like like you have matches and that's the only way that you can light your way. So the main enemy isn't so much monsters as it is like darkness. Um, and matches burn out really quickly. They don't have much light, but you can like light a lantern or light a lamp or like a candle or something to do stuff with that. And so it has a fair bit of mechanical depth in something like that, even though it is still sort of like a walking game at its core. And so I think if it does something like that, if it adds more mechanical
That was in the first
complexity and
Amnesia
something
too.
more fun. Yeah. Was
It
it?
was
I
like they were
didn't really
called
play
tinder
it.
boxes, but yeah, you basically had a consumable you could light torches and
From
stuff with
yeah.
to keep
From
it.
from what I understand though, in the newest one, like the whole running from like you rarely actually run away from monsters. Like the main enemy truly is darkness and yeah, when you're in the dark you like start to go insane and stuff and there's
Hmm.
all that to go with it. And so yeah, if they add that level of like mechanical complexity in its gameplay and its storytelling and stuff, I think that would make it a lot more standout for me than their previous games.
Right.
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay.
Another horror game, Little Nightmares 2, which will be a 90 in my heart, but I'm not sure how everybody will receive this game.
That one's gonna be co-op, right?
I
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes,
Can we please play that together?
yes, I am so down.
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, me too. So,
Okay, back to it.
Looking it up, Little Nightmares 1 had a 78 on Metacritic, which is just
What?
a tragedy if you ask me. And unfortunately, I feel like that's kind of how smaller games go. They always kind of get like 70s-ish for whatever reason.
I'm gonna say 80.
80. I feel like reviews could be mixed depending on if people play it by themselves or in co-op or how their co-op experience is. Like I could see co-op maybe not sticking the landing super well. I don't know. Or either that or a lot of reviewers play it by themselves and the game is really meant for co-op and so that isn't as fun. So could see a lot of reviews being maybe not as hot on it. And
Good
also
point.
some reviews in the point of like, it's more Little Nightmares, kind of like what you were saying with Hitman.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 76, like mid 70s.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. Next game is probably gonna be lower. So this one is
Yeah.
Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake, which I guess it depends on how reviewers review it because I've never played Sands of Time, but I know people love it, and I know there's a lot of nostalgia there. But the remake itself looks terrible. It looks really bad from what I've seen.
Yeah. It's
And they also apparently they seem to have kind of listened to that feedback and are working on it more, I think. Like I think it got delayed. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, it
So
did get delayed.
maybe it will review better than I'm expecting, but I am not really seeing. If I had to guess, I'd say like mid 60s, like 64. I wrote that in your thing.
Hey, get out of my
64.
spot.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 64 on it. That feels right.
I think nostalgia is powerful. And I
it is,
think
yeah.
even if a game isn't great, but people loved it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know this game. I don't know the fans behind it. I've never met somebody who's played this game, so or that I know of that's played this game, and definitely never heard anyone talk about it in like a positive light or any light.
I watched the movie when I was a kid and I liked it.
You're still
even
a
though
kid.
It probably isn't good. Exactly.
That was yesterday. I'm gonna choose a bit higher. I'm gonna go with 69
Nice.
because I feel like
Perfect.
when you don't know, that's a safe choice.
So the next one is Returnal, which I recognize the game or the name. I don't fully.
It's the bullet hell third-person shooter kind of game.
Right. Yeah, and this is the Housemark game, right? Yeah.
I'm terrible with that part with developers.
That's a tricky one because
I think this one's gonna flop.
Housemark usually makes you do.
Yeah, I don't think it looks fun at all.
Because Housemark is a very respected developer.
I don't care.
They're respected in terms of like arcade type games, like Nex Machina and stuff. Not this. So I could definitely see this game being maybe a little bit more than like maybe a little bit too ambitious for what they're good at. But I don't know.
Well, I might be wrong, but it's the first time I've ever seen a game trying to mix these two, like having a bullet hell and third person shooter sort of thing. I personally would love to be wrong and be proven wrong and be shown that no, this is a great combination. This is super fun, but to me, it does not look fun at all. I'm not a huge bullet hell kind of like person, but I do like a challenge, and I love third person games, but I don't think this looks fun. And I've seen a couple trailers now for it, and both of them haven't pulled me in to make me want to play it. So I feel like a lot of the visual like effects are way too flashy and bright, and it's really hard to see
Mhm.
what's going on. And I think you really need to be able to see what's happening. And usually, that style of game, you're looking down from above, so you can kind of see what's going on all around. But when you're looking from behind your character's even blocking part of your view when there's projectiles
Mhm.
flying at you. I feel like that's just like a recipe for like frustration. So
So my argument to that is that Near Automata is that. It's a lot of its boss fights are third person bullet hells.
oh yeah, I haven't played that, so
So I
sounds
am
terrible.
kind of like a lot of these shots it shows are kind of familiar to me from a gameplay sense. But granted, it's also not a shooter. It's a slasher for the most part.
Yeah.
So I think having to aim and dodge on a 3D plane for both of those could maybe be a little bit much. I think some people will adore this game, and I think a lot of people will be kind of meh on it. So because of that, I am going to say
I
74.
one up
74.
me. I did a 73.
Ooh. So it's pretty much just whoever gets below or above that number. That's funny.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So the next one is going to be It Takes Two, which is, if you remember, the one that was revealed at the Game Awards with the weird book guy. I think this will be one of those games that won't necessarily score super well, but I think will be
Yeah.
extremely enjoyable.
I'm looking forward to this one.
Me too. I think it's gonna be mid 70s,
Yep.
to low 70s, but I that's also good. Like not every game needs to be a 10, and I think if it's an enjoyable enough co-op game with some laughs, I think that's perfect. Oops, I wrote a new section again. I'm gonna say
I'm gonna take your
72.
I'm gonna take your 74 from the previous.
74. Awesome. This next one is almost kind of hard for me to put a score on because I don't know anything about it. But Monster Hunter Rise,
69.
I know people love. I know people love Monster Hunter, and I feel like people are hyped for this. I think.
Yeah, I don't have much to say on this one, so I'm just gonna say 80. I don't know. I feel good about that.
Yeah, Monster Hunter World has a 90 on Metacritic. And I don't see it being as good as Monster Hunter World, just because it's a smaller scale thing than that. So yeah,
I think I went a little
I'm gonna
low.
go a little higher. I'm gonna say 84.
I'm guessing it's gonna
so-
actually be 82. I'm gonna change mine. I feel like 80 is too low.
So the next one is
Are you looking it up?
Near Replicant version 1.22474487139 ... And so yeah, Near Replicant remake.
I hate this.
I don't know. So
This isn't
yeah,
fair.
so the original Nier got a 68 on Metacritic, which isn't super surprising to me because that game is a cult hit for a reason. But the thing is, I think because Nier is a little bit more of a known quantity now, like people have played and loved Nier Automata. It won awards. I think because of that, going into Nier Replicant, people might have or the remake. I think people might have a little bit more of an open mind, and also now that it's kind of getting rid of a lot of the issues that bogged down the score on the original release, I think it will score significantly higher than before. So I'm gonna say 86 is gonna be my answer.
Good choice. Good choice. I know nothing. But I was just while you're saying that, I was looking on Steam, like, it's 50% off for Nier Automata. Maybe I should get that, and because I've been wanting to play it, and I keep saying I want to play it, and I'm getting tired of hearing myself say I want to play it. And so I'm like, and I would love to have a new game to play on stream. I know I said I want to play Bloodborne next, but maybe I should do that one instead. How long would you say it is to play through it? I know I'm sidetracking a bit.
I would say probably 20 hours tops. It's not long.
Oh, but you can
probably
replay
20
it
hours.
and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, or I think it's about 8 hours to play just the main Route A campaign, but that's not the full game. Like, definitely don't
Yeah.
stop there. Um, yeah, about 8 hours I'd say for that, and then 8 to 10 hours, and then the second time you play it is a lot faster because you know the ropes. And then the third time is an epilogue of sorts, and then from there that's where you see the rest of the story, and that is also the best part of the game. Um, and all that, yeah, probably 20ish hours.
For
I would recommend it.
you, so for the
Believe it or
first
not,
playthrough, or it's about 20ish hours for the
20
first,
hours
or
total.
all total? Oh, that's
Yeah,
pretty
total.
nice.
Yeah.
I like that. I might have to pick that up. I would like to. Okay, so I'm gonna put my score on this one because I know nothing about Nier, and
Okay.
that's kind of what got me thinking about that. I'm like, oh, I gotta buy it. I'm gonna just buy it and then I'll play it because I own it. That's what's gonna happen. So, I'm gonna choose just whatever. I'm gonna undercut you. I'm gonna say 81.
Nice. Okay. Deathloop is our next one. Arcane's new game. I think
Hmm.
Arcane, partly just because of how much respect it has of it as a studio, I think has a good chance of getting a good score in this. Like, I think when people go into a game expecting greatness, it kind of raises what the score is overall. You know, like because there's that, like, whether you're sure of it or not, like, or whether you're aware of it or not, like there's kind of that bias.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think because Arcane has such a good reputation, and I don't think there's anything about this game that says it's going to be worse than the previous games. So
Yeah. I
I can see it being 90s. To be honest, I'm gonna say 90
I'm
flat.
I don't think it'll hit the 90s, but I'm gonna say 87.
It's a good number. Back for Blood. This one is interesting. I feel like I've mentioned on the podcast that I feel like it might not innovate enough,
Yeah.
and it could have that, like what we were
Oh,
talking with Hitman, but even stronger. I think because that genre is kind of stale at this point. I think like people have played Deep Rock Galactic, they've played all these other like amazing games. I've taken that formula and done something new with it.
mm-hmm.
So I think just kind of going back to basics could either hit really hard or just kind of be a wet fart. Um,
I'm gonna say 75.
I'm gonna go a little higher. I'm gonna say 79. 79. I feel good.
Nice.
All right. Next one
In
is
12
12
minutes.
minutes.
This one's so
Which,
cool. I really hope this game's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
I'm so interested in this.
It's so out of nowhere. It's hard for, like, a lot of these, I can kind of base it off of past things, past games in the studio and stuff like that. But this is, yeah, kind of hard to base it off anything.
So I was about to look something up, but I'm not going to stick with this. For me, I'm pretty sure they showed it off at E3 2019, if I remember right. And so it's been a while, and totally off the cuff, just guessing. If this game actually is a 12-minute loop over and over again, and they've been playing with it or working on it for this long, like how much like variety is there in what you can do, and like if they're actually like, I don't know, maybe I'm getting too excited about it, but I go, you could make a lot of like variables in 12 minutes in a 12-minute segment of gameplay, especially if you have like however many years of development for it. Like how much is there? I get excited thinking about it, thinking there could be a lot to this, and if there is, and it's really impressive, this game could be like a Limbo or an Inside, almost, right, where you're like, and I don't know what those got, but it could be for me. For me, Limbo and Inside is like a 10 out of 10, right, for both of them for me. So I'm excited for this one because I kind of compare it in that way, where it could just kind of come out of nowhere and have a lot of depth and a lot of value in replaying it. So,
And I think it also has a pretty star-studded cast in it as far as voices, which I think gives it a boost too. And yeah, what you're saying about like how much depth you can put and how much time, like yeah, Outer Wilds, my absolute favorite game of 2019, one of my favorite games ever, is a 22-minute loop. And yeah, there is just so much shit
I didn't
stuffed
know it
into
was a
that
22
22
minute
minute
loop.
loop. Yeah,
Huh.
it's a time loop game and it's very very short, and that's why I love it. And I'm so hyped for this. And yeah, I think it is going to kind of hit a spot that we I think it's gonna feel unique and fresh enough that it will really hit the right way for people.
Yeah.
You just typed 94.
Yep,
I
I'm gonna
am
choose
liking
94.
that number. I'm gonna say slightly lower and go with 92. Yeah, I like that.
I really hope that we're
Um,
both right, or you know,
Me too. I hope
uh,
we're both wrong. I hope it's
or it's better. Yeah,
higher. Yeah.
totally.
Yeah, man. I have great expectations for that game, and hopefully my expectations are too high. But I love games like that just take kind of a smaller scope and really, really polish that.
Hmm.
Like Limbo or like Inside, yeah, that just take a small idea and do something really strong.
Yeah.
Um, the next game is the absolute opposite of that. Far Cry 6. A large idea that's kind of been a little bit watered down at this point, I'd say. I think they would have to do a lot for this game to review well. Like, I think if they release something that's on
You
par
think?
with Far Cry 5, I think it's going to score even lower than Far Cry 5 did. Like, there is just a lot of fatigue around that genre to the
Do
point where people are criticizing other games for being similar to Far Cry, you
you,
know? Um,
do you know?
and
Do you know what the Far Cry 5 got for Metacritic, or did you look it up?
I can look it up. So Far Cry 5 got an 81, it looks like. Yeah, 81. I'm going to say mid 70s on this
Yeah,
because I don't necessarily think it's going to be that great.
yeah, I definitely am one of the people who have fatigue from Far Cry, and
Hmm.
I don't think putting it in a city instead of a forest or jungle or whatever is gonna make it better if it's the same type of gameplay, and they still do the same monetization for weapons and skins and all that stuff. Um,
Also, for reference, Far Cry
there
New
is fun to
Dawn,
be
which is the
had, but
expansion to
yeah,
5, got a
yeah,
71. Oh, sorry, you cut out.
yeah, that
I think I accidentally cut
doesn't
you off saying
surprise
that.
me. That's okay.
Wait,
So
I think.
I'm gonna say
Hold on.
that this.
You are like. I think I'm like literally like 5 seconds delayed of what I say to when it goes to you. You
Uh
might
oh.
want to fix this.
Okay, let's fix it. Let's end the call and then come right back. All right, so Far Cry 6. Uh, mm, e- I also think
Yeah,
because of quarantine and limited resources and development,
it's true.
I do
Yeah,
think it'll be a 79.
I'm gonna go lower. I'm gonna say 73. I don't know if you heard this part, like, because it was kind of cutting out, but I said Far Cry New Dawn got a 71.
Yeah. No, I heard everything.
Which
It
okay,
was just a
cool,
little bit
cool.
delayed. Yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah,
Ghostwire
I think
Tokyo.
it'll be low 70s. Yeah, Ghostwire Tokyo. This one I am not sure on because it seems to be kind of I don't know if in trouble is the right word, but it's the things I keep hearing about this game's development, like the creative director leaving, which is a kind of a big deal, and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, like something's up with the development of this game. Something's
Hmm.
been happening,
Hmm.
and whether that translates to a worse product or not, it's hard for us to really say. But I feel like the gameplay that we saw didn't exactly blow people away.
Yeah, I still don't
Um,
understand what it really is going to be like to play an hour of the game.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I feel like like when I think about what it will be, I think a lot of that's just assumptions based off of what we've seen, but not actually what they've told us.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'm gonna say low 80s, maybe. I almost feel like it could be lower though. Is the thing.
This is another one where it's going to be so off the cuff.
Yeah,
Like I said, like we're just
yeah.
totally
It's hard
guessing
for us to
here.
really
There's
know.
not enough. You have what do we have? One trailer, or is there more?
Two.
Is there two? Yeah, like there's hardly anything and any news on this. Like
Hmm.
we're
I know
purely
it does
guessing at this
have
point. It could be great. It
a
could
fair bit of
suck.
ties. Yeah, yeah, true. I'm gonna say 82. 82.
I say 76.
Okay.
Fallout 76, man.
Hopefully
Hopefully
better than
not.
that.
God of War Ragnarok?
So yeah, I think it's gonna be great. Purely based off the last one. I think the last one was fucking phenomenal. I don't see why this would be any worse.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I think it's gonna be more of the new God of War with like a similarly great story. I think the only thing that could maybe tone down its reception is just because it's a little bit more of a known quantity. Like we know what the reboot is. Just have a
Sorry, I'm
big
dying over
sneeze over
here.
there.
Uh,
Like we know what the new God of War is. Part of why the reboot was so incredible is like, holy shit, this is a totally new Kratos. This is so different than anything we've seen from the series. But now that we kind of know, maybe it wouldn't hit as hard.
that's what I think.
But I still think it's gonna be amazing. I still think it's gonna be 91. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
91.
That's a good guess. Yeah, I'm sure it'll crack the 90s for sure. I would have said 90, 91, 92, 93. Like when I think of the game, I do think that the story will let people down. I
You think
hope
so?
I'm wrong, but I don't. I think there's too much. Like I think people's like the first game kind of took a lot of people off guard, and I think that there's a lot of people, even a lot more people focusing on it. Like, oh, we kind of know what to expect now. Like now you got to surprise us, or throw something in there that we don't expect. But they're way more aware of it now. It's a lot
Mhm.
harder to do that. It's possible. I'm just more on the side of I don't think it's going to happen. I think they could really improve on the combat and the exploring and like puzzles and stuff like that, and that could be really like a good plus. And I think the story could still be really good, but I don't think it'll be as good, or I don't think it'll feel as good as the first one did for people.
That
So I'm
makes
going to
sense.
say, but even that being said, I'm going to say a 90. Oops, I wrote an 8. 90. 2.
92. That makes sense. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think the story will do good because the thing is, even for me as someone who didn't really play any of the other God of Wars, like I didn't have a PS3 or anything growing up, I still adored it. Like I still think the story, completely apart from like expectations and bias, is just a really really good coming of age story with Atreus and like redemption story with Kratos.
Hmm.
And I think if they can just like I think they just have brilliant writers there, like at the end of the day, and I think that those writers are gonna pull through again. The one I hope we get to play as Atreus. That would really like
Yeah,
bump it up for me.
totally. I
If
agree.
there's a
Okay,
section where they're like separated
do you
or
think
something,
do you think he's gonna be like an angsty teen, just
I hope
like
so.
Dad, give me a break. I know what I'm
I
doing.
mean, he
Ugh,
kind of
you
was
just never
though,
let me
right?
get my own. Like, was he?
He kind of
I guess
was,
I.
and yeah, I
Well,
mean,
all ages, even me to my parents. Like, I still you'll
mhm,
throw a couple words out there that you're like, I probably shouldn't have said that. Like,
yeah.
but I guess I just mean like way more attitude from like the more teenager Atreus would
I
be
think we're
awesome.
definitely going to see the more Loki side of him come out. Like I think that's going to be the main focus of the story is Atreus's sort of like bloodlust shining through and Kratos is like, "Hey, I've been down that road. That's not a good place to be."
Ooh, that'd be good.
As he like trying to like talk him down from that, which is sort of what the first one was about, but I think they're going to go a lot harder on that. And yeah, I mean, there's the section in the first one when he learned that he was a god, or I guess yeah, a demigod or
Hmm.
a god, um, and was kind of a bitch to Kratos for a while, where he'd say stuff. He's like, ugh, whatever, fine, kind of like there's a lot of attitude coming out of him.
Yeah, it's been
But
too
yeah, you're
long
right.
since I
I
played
think
it.
we are gonna see an edgier
What if
Atreus, and I'm down for it really.
what if they make it so that you have to they do almost a Last of Us Part 2, except you actually have a final you have to kill the kid. As,
Jesus.
what if they did that? I don't think they will, but
I was gonna say, I
like
thought you were gonna say if you have to
in
kill
a big no,
Kratos,
like in
or
a big
like if
boss
Kratos
fight, right?
dies.
Or vice versa, sure. But like if one of those two
Hmm.
have to like actually die, not just you have a fight and then they both go off in their own way, but you actually like however the story takes them, one gets to the point where it's like, yeah, you can't get back from where you are, like
Yeah, yeah.
emotionally or morally. So that'd
I
be
think it would be really, really interesting if if Kratos died, personally.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and if it was, oh, okay, hear me out, hear me out, hear
Yep.
me out.
Yep. Okay. Go.
Kratos dies in this game, right? At some point, and that leaves Atreus on his own, and trying to figure out who he is, what he is, all that. And then the next game in the series after that is all done. Atreus finds himself is called God of Chaos, as he's Loki now, the God of Chaos
Ooh.
and Mischief. That would be fucking dope.
That would be. That actually would
Personally,
be.
I think so.
And then you just show the logo to God of War, and then you just see the war part like fade away, like or get like
Yeah,
blown by wind or something, and then just like,
yeah.
yeah, that'd be sweet. Yeah, I think it'd be neat to. I mean, okay, let's. Yeah, I won't. No, no, no. Let's continue. I'm not gonna get us all
Okay.
sidetracked.
I mean, screw it. This is the prediction episode. It's not only Metascore, and we're only like a half hour in, so.
Fair enough. Yeah, I do agree that my prediction is that Kratos will die or Atreus will die, but I don't think it's likely that the kid will. I don't think they'll kill a kid in that game. But I do think there's a good chance he will die, and my prediction would be that he will either be taken over mentally or something will happen to the point where Kratos needs to be killed. Like there is no other choice. There is like you have to kill him as the kid, and that has to happen. And that will happen, say, I don't know, maybe that's the turning point, middle of the story or the middle of the game, right? And then it's a lot of dealing with that for the rest of the game. And maybe you don't get resolution or something. That'd be very interesting. But
yeah, I mean, you want to talk about how the story could really surprise us and blow us away. Like, I think something like that would be it.
Yeah, I think having to do the killing yourself would be the biggest impact.
That'd be brutal. Yeah.
Instead of watching it happen, like in The Last of Us.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of power to that. Anyways,
Yep.
yeah. Halo Infinite is our next game. And this one, even more so than some of these other ones, I am really unsure of. Because the last showing of gameplay we got was pretty mediocre.
Yeah, it was
I
fine.
would say. It was, not bad, but I don't think it blew anyone away. But that said, the game also got delayed a year from when it was initially supposed to release. And that both kind of makes me anxious and also hopeful. And that, like, it makes me anxious in that something seems up with the development of that game. Same thing with Ghostwire Tokyo. But if they're delaying it this much, I'm hoping that that's them really going into it and fixing the things that were mediocre and making it great. And I really want this game to be amazing. And
Me too.
Maybe this is wishful thinking, but I am gonna say it is also a 91.
Ooh. How are you feeling or how do you feel about Halo in general, like as a franchise?
I think Halo needs to do more than just go back to its roots. I think Halo needs to reinvent itself. And I think Halo Infinite was almost hitting those notes in the sense that, like, it's an open world and we have this big open map and stuff like that. I think that really, really fits in what Halo is. But I think that Halo, like the basic Bungie formula of Halo, I think, to be frank, is outdated. And I think has been done so many times. Like, Halo is one of the most influential shooters ever. And because of that, we've seen it a million times. And I think just more Halo combat evolved or more Halo 2 would kind of not hit super hard. Like, it would hit really hard with, like, hardcore Halo fans, which I'm not one of them, but I think for people who are outside of that, or the younger generation who didn't necessarily grow up with it, like Fortnite kids, it's not going to do anything for them.
Right.
And so I think they really need to modernize and reinvent themselves. And I hope they're brave enough to. I hope that they don't just cater to the hardcore fan. I hope that they're able to really think about what's next.
Yeah, I think that my feeling on it is they are going to cater to the hardcore fan for campaign and then really try to push what they can do when it comes to multiplayer. I mean, they already are with it going free to play, right? And kind of separating it in that way. So I really hope that they keep, like, Forge. I really liked being able to create custom maps and things like that.
Totally.
Like, I hope that part, like, that kind of stuff stays. But then when it comes to one thing that, like, Bungie did great was a lot of the community made maps would make its way into playlists that you could play competitively. or game modes, and that's how like even Griffball was a thing, right? Like all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
It's like it's so cool how or even SWAT, right? Like the customization you can do in multiplayer is like almost infinite too. So I
Yeah.
think that they could do a lot with multiplayer in terms of pushing the bounds, and what like what they could do with that would be very interesting. If they wanted, they could make on the multiplayer side of things, they could make modes where you could create your own. I'm going into predictions again. Sorry, I've got this dust thing on my face. I'm going to like if you wanted if they wanted to, they could make it so you could create like spawn points for enemies and have like almost like a campaign level, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you wanted, or if they wanted to make that available to people. And I just hope that there's a lot of creativity, and I hope that there's a lot of flexibility of what you want to do and what you can do in the game. I'm really hoping it's great. You gave it a 91. I think the extra year is going to be purely just additive. I don't think I think the game was ready to be played for the original release date, and I think that all this year is going to be refining what's there.
That makes
Um,
sense.
and that can only be a good thing. I think it's like let's add more to. I don't think it's going to be. Sorry, I said additive, but I mean more. Like I think it's going to be more polishing, more actually like. Let's make sure this world we've created looks even better. Let's make sure that what we have here plays even better. Can we make this loading screen faster? Can we do all that stuff? I think that'll make the game just feel tighter. And I maybe I'm wrong. I'm just guessing, but I'm gonna give it a 93. I still don't think
Sweet.
it'll be higher
Yeah.
than that.
Yeah. I think the thing that could really lower the score of this game, I mean, is A, if it's mediocre, and B, its performance on current gen. Because I think like Cyberpunk I think has made people a little bit anxious for a
hmm
lot of these cross-gen games. And for very good reason.
hmm
And I think personally,
Oh,
I wish they would just put Halo Infinite on. Like, I wish they would just drop support for older consoles, because I would rather them do that than release a really shitty current
yeah.
gen version of it. And I think if they do release a really shitty current gen version, that will tank the score quite a bit. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, I don't think that they will. I think
I have
the
to.
game from what we've seen seems really scalable in a way that Cyberpunk wasn't
Mhm.
necessarily. Um,
I have to change my score.
so hopefully,
I had a
okay,
thought while you were talking, and it's that people are going to rate this game based off the campaign, not based off of everything together. Because you can get multiplayer free, and I do not see a campaign for Halo being scored above 87. So I'm going to do 87 actually.
that makes sense. Yeah, I can see that. Um, all right, next game, another bit of a harder one. Hogwarts Legacy. So this is the Harry Potter RPG that got leaked like years ago and then
hmm
got announced at E3, right? Or was it like a PS5 event or something? It's so hard to remember this year. Um, I think it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be high 80s. I don't think it's gonna like be the bee's knees per se, but like I think Harry Potter fans are gonna adore it, and I think other people are gonna think it's a cool RPG. So, 87, stealing your number.
Nice. I am going to guess 80. I don't have any
80.
reason.
So next one, Gotham Knights. This is the new Batman,
hmm
not Arkham game. They specifically said. I think, despite how good this game is going to be, I think there's going to be a fair bit of disappointment,
Yeah.
simply because of things like the health bars and the damage floaters, and the fact that even though it isn't a games as a service, it seems to be borrowing a lot of those ideas. And I think for Arkham fans, that's not going to sit super well. And I think because of that, it's going to be a 77.
Oh,
77.
good. You didn't take mine. 79. What I'm thinking.
Awesome. Yeah. High 70s seems about right. Next one, Kena Bridge of Spirits. This is one we saw at the PS5
hmm
showcase. That really cool, like more cartoony looking game. This game looked awesome. We still don't know much about gameplay though, but I think based off of visuals alone, and yeah, the fact that it's a PS5 game that looks like a next gen game, is gonna give it a big boost, and I'm gonna say it's a 86.
Oh, that's a good number. I hope it's great. Yeah, it totally looks like a DreamWorks or a Pixar movie. Like just the 3D
No, it
animated. It
totally
looks
does.
so
Yeah.
good. I remember when I thought Knack looked like that though, and now I'm like,
No,
oh
true.
no, it
Yeah, we're
doesn't.
gonna see this later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Or remember when people saw like Kingdom Hearts 2 and thought that like, oh my god, it's just like a Pixar movie.
like holy shit. I'm gonna say 85, I guess.
Right down the middle. So the next one, Resident Evil Village. I think this game's gonna go pretty hard. Personally, I think people are gonna love it. They did kind of flop a bit with Resident Evil 3 remake, I think, but I think that's also because Resident Evil 3 just the base game wasn't as good as some of these other ones. So like a remake can only be so good. But I think Village, like having done 7, having done
Yeah.
the remake of 2, these people really, really understand what makes Resident Evil great, and I think they're only going to be getting better at it. Like, especially now that they've done 7 in that really, really modern style of Resident Evil, like what it means today. And I think Village will just be the refinement of that. I think it'll be everything that made 7 great, but even greater. So, because of that, I am going to say it will be a 94, which is the highest number I've given so far.
That's good. I totally agree with you on a lot of what you said. I mean, Resident Evil 7 for me is my favorite Resident Evil. I haven't played a lot of them though, so careful. Don't freak out, people. Just I only played the 2 remake and a couple minutes of 4. Like I haven't played much, and then of course 7, right? So I haven't really played much. I'm just purely going off of I had a blast with 7. That was such a good experience. Playing that over the weekend and beating it was a good time. So I'm going to say 90. I just think it's so hard to get above a 93 these days.
Yeah.
You know, 94. I'm going to say 90 flat. Just 90.
Makes sense. The next one is Scorn, and if you remember, that's that like really H.R. Geiger looking one at the Xbox showcase. This game has been shown for like, man, as long as I can remember. It's been a long, long time that this game has been in development.
You think it'll come out?
That kind of, I think it will. I think they seemed. I think the fact that it's being pushed so hard by Microsoft. Oops, I just typed like a bunch of numbers. No, actually, that was you that typed those.
Yeah. Sorry.
I think the fact that it's being pushed by Microsoft is going to push it to actually release. But the amount of time it's in the oven kind of makes me nervous because games that were originally developed for a previous gen releasing on the gen after that kind of like it gets in that like Duke Nukem Forever territory where like it's been in there for so long it kind of just gets cloudy. I really want this game to be spectacular though. Like I have thought this game is fascinating since the first time I saw it, and it looks even more fascinating now. I could see it being very boring. I could see it falling into what was that game? Agony, where you like go into hell and people despised it.
Yeah.
I could see it maybe falling into that territory of just being kind of broken and boring, which makes me sad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 74. I hope it's like a high 80s, but I don't know if it will be.
Whoops, wrong one. Glad you didn't. I did 98, but I meant I actually think this is gonna suck, and that makes me sad to say that because I mean, maybe I'm wrong anyway, but I think it'll be a 68. Which actually it doesn't suck really, but I do think that game is going to be more of a letdown and for me.
I think that makes sense. So Solar Ash is the next one. That's the one by the people who made Hyper Light Drifter, and I think coming off a game that strong, this game seriously seems
Yeah.
like the evolution of all that, like we said with a couple of these other games. And so people
Looks so
love
good.
that. Actually, what is score did that get? Hyperlight Drifter.
I'm gonna say 94.
Metacritic. I'm gonna say 94.
I don't
It
care what
got
Hyperlight
like mid
Drifter.
80s. It got mid 80s, and I think this is gonna score even higher. Partly because it's 3D. That's just kind of it. I'm gonna say 89. Next one is Sons of the Forest. I think
Woohoo!
this is going to be a game that people will love, but won't score very high because it will be
Mhm.
buggy as shit.
Yeah.
and that's not necessarily terrible. Like it's a survival game, and some people like that. So I'm going to say like 73 from a
77.
critic standpoint. But I think the people like you that love the Forest are going to love it.
I'm looking forward to it.
So the last one on our list is Hollow Knight Silk Song, which doesn't have a release date for 2021 yet, but I think we both just kind of assumed it will be.
I hope.
What did Hollow Knight? Because I don't see this being any worse than Hollow Knight. I think it's going to be Hollow Knight, but better. Granted, I also didn't really like Hollow Knight.
What?
But
What?
yeah,
Wait,
I
no,
played
stop.
it.
What?
I did not like Hollow Knight. I
Why
thought
was
the
it
jumping felt
too
bad.
scary?
Yeah, I was too scared. But I thought the jumping felt bad and the combat was eh. But people love it, so my
Clearly,
opinion here is
the 90
pretty
on the
unimportant.
Switch.
I think it's gonna be like 92. I think people are gonna love it.
I think everyone who works on that
Or
game is very talented,
90.
and that game is such a piece of art. I love it so much. I think it plays well. I think it looks good. I think it the progression of your character works really well. I think the puzzles are really good. I think that the music is amazing. I have nothing bad to say about that game, and I'm pretty critical. Well, at
Yeah.
least when I'm talking to family.
To be fair, also as far as my take on this game, I don't like Metroidvanias and I don't like roguelites or not roguelites, Souls-lights, and because of that, it's not my kind of game at all in the slightest. And so, my opinion on it really is not the correct one. But yeah, I hope it's great. I hope every game's great.
So you give it 90. I'm gonna say 93.
93.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. All right. And then that wraps up our list of Metacritic predictions. I think at the end of the year, so do you want to do it all at the end of the year, or do you want to do it like as each game releases, go over it? I think it'd be fun to just do it all at the end of the year and then tally up who wins.
Yeah, let's do it all at the end of the year. Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay.
I plan on doing this for
and
the
then,
whole
yeah.
year.
Totally, yeah. And then so just some other predictions if we want to throw out.
Yeah, I saw yours there. I agree with all yours, but I don't know if they're that wild. Actually, there's one.
My fourth one's a little wild. Yeah, my first three are kind of meh. Breath of the Wild 2, I think will get announced and released next year. Or not announced, it was already announced. But we'll see, like, not just a teaser. We'll see, like, an actual gameplay and that sort of thing. I think PS5 is going to get an update that will give it a feature very, very similar to Quick Resume on Xbox. And I think on the Xbox side, they're going to announce a streaming stick, but I don't think it's going to release this year. And then my a little bit crazier one is I think Valve is going to announce a new game that isn't their new Half-Life game. It's going to be something else. I know we've seen a lot of leaks of a project called Citadel, which is supposedly in the Half-Life universe, and it's some sort of like experimental VR flat screen multiplayer mix thing that seems really, really interesting, and I hope it's that. I could definitely see that getting announced this year. But yeah, those are my main ones. Do you have any?
I couldn't think of anything that I actually like even those. I guess I just kind of stayed away from a lot of that stuff where I was like, yeah, I think it's pretty much a given, but it's not, and I just kind of I didn't have anything else to add to that. I mean, I agree with you on the Breath of the Wild 2. I think it'll get released this coming year, and let's throw one crazy one out there. I predict that we are going to see, I don't know if it'll be a cinematic or a gameplay, but I'm going to say a trailer for the next Metroid. It got rebooted
Ooh.
basically from development. Or development got rebooted
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the Metroid Prime 4, and I want to see a trailer for Metroid Prime 4,
When
even if it
did
just
that
sets the
originally
tone.
get announced?
Oh, it was a long time ago. I don't know. I want to say 2017.
2017?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what I want to say.
So,
I'll look it up.
so if it was like 2, 3 years in terms of its new development, yeah,
Yeah.
I could see us getting a new trailer, especially since they already announced it and they're kind of obligated to show us more. I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Um,
got a trailer in E3 2017.
and Bayonetta 3 was announced there too, right? Still haven't seen shit from that.
Yeah.
Bayonetta, gosh, what is Platinum doing? It's so confusing because they have like
What's
12
Nintendo doing?
projects. Not that many, but they have, I know, Nintendo too, but like Platinum
Yeah.
is not a huge studio, but they have like a ton of projects. And like that they announced after Bayonetta 3 and we still haven't seen anything from that game. It's strange, man. I don't know what
I
they're
feel
doing.
like this year was a write-off for a lot of projects that were like kind of just getting to the point where they're like, oh, we might be able to get this done by the end of this year. Let's get ready to push. And then right away, COVID hit. And then I was like, okay, it's not happening. We're just not going to announce anything. Let's just hunker down, focus on the team and what we need to do to keep things running. That's what I imagine happened to a few projects. I imagine that happened to Breath of the Wild as well. I still think that Breath of the Wild 2 was going to come out at the end of this year originally.
I agree, yeah.
That or a Mario Kart, but I think that Breath of the Wild 2 was supposed to come. So I guess I had another prediction, and this is of course not a surprise from Nick, but Elden Ring gets released. There you
go. Yeah, it gets released, you think?
Oh yeah, it has to. It's announced for PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
Interesting.
You want an
I think so. I think no, gets released like later this year. It'd make a lot of sense.
But I do think that they took some extra time to develop increase, say, just like next gen features such as higher resolution or frame rate or load times, to take advantage of the SSDs and the new consoles. I imagine that they delayed it a bit to add those features in there and be able to have the cross-play version run better on the newer systems, because they could have modes that just go, hey, uncap frame rate or uncap your I don't know what else I was going to say, but yeah, your frame rate or increase your load times, and that would be all you'd need, and you can play your PS4 version on your PS5 and it would run much better. So as long as animations and attacks and stuff aren't tied to the frame rate, you're good.
Yeah, so I think that's about it for predictions. That was it for our double recording session. I think both of us are pretty exhausted at this point. I can see
long afternoon.
Yeah, seriously. This should hopefully be the end of our string of like double recording sessions though. So after this, expect probably more like up-to-date discussions, talking about what games we've played, all that. And in the new year, we should maybe talk about if we're going to bring back Game Club or something similar. Because, I would be into that for sure.
Yeah, we will.
Maybe going back to both playing the same game, because I think I liked that more personally. But, yeah, for now, I'm Ziggy. You can find me anywhere. Links are in the description. This has been Nick. You're watching it on his channel, obviously, so you know where to find this. But, yeah, same thing. Links are all in the description. Plugs will be the same as last episode, so nothing new to report.
This is a week later for everybody.
That's about it.
Yeah,
true. It's funny to think about that.
At this point, I am imagining I am playing either Bloodborne or I am playing Nier Automata on Twitch. So check that out, whatever one it is.
I hope it's Nier Automata.
But
no, I definitely would encourage you. Let me know if you pick that up, because
will do.
I'd be pretty excited about that.
Coach me.
All right. I'll let you all go. This has been Screen Peeking. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, or whatever you do. Keep peeking that screen.
Keep screening that peek. Bye. Just gonna ruin it for you.